Alright, so we're going to be talking about Dungeons & Dragons and its resurgence and recent popularity through television and online streaming such as Twitch and things like that.
Sure.
So, first of all, D&D has been around for a really long time.
Yeah, a lot longer than I thought.
But it seems like in the last few years here that there's been a big influx of players that and in the community of Dungeons & Dragons. And I think there's a few major components to that. One of which is some of its representation in modern TV. Shows like Community have one or two or three episodes where they're just playing D&D.
You're right.
It's exaggerated and stuff, but
Sure.
you kind of get the concept of how it works a little bit.
Right.
And they kind of like make fun of some stuff and everything, but it's all, it's a comedy, so of course they're going to exaggerate stuff and make everything more ridiculous.
Right.
But it gives more exposure to the game.
5 goblins enter from the north.
Fire!
Both arrows hit. Cleave! You kill one and wound another.
I drop on the last one and grapple.
You got hold of him.
This one is for Crouton.
With his dying breath, he utters, "The Dark Lord will kill you all."
Wait, these things can talk? I want two taken alive. I want to try something. Hi. I'm Tiny Nuggins.
Some other things, like Stranger Things on Netflix, which has become hugely popular.
It has. Can't argue that.
The characters play D&D in the beginning and end of the show and stuff. So that has been exposure to people as well. And now they didn't really go into it as much, but they use a lot of references and stuff from D&D as well, as a reference to like the monsters and everything. So it kind of gives that understanding to pop culture and everything.
Boo! Fireball hit Will! Stop! Boo! Protect! It was an anger! And fireball! Oh, where'd it go? Where is it? I don't know. Is it a 13? I don't know. Where is it? Oh my god. Where is it?
The show that I watch the most that it's brought in a little bit, not as much I think as Community or Stranger Things, is The Big Bang Theory. Love the show. I think it's hilarious. It's got a great cast in it. They play it's part of like one episode every season, it seems like, where they actually play like a very short bit of Dungeons & Dragons as part of the show. But the best one, I think it really lets Simon Helberg, the actor who plays Howard Wolowitz in the show his true talents in other areas, because he does a lot of impressions as a D&D, and his character becomes like Al Pacino becomes a character, and Nicolas Cage becomes a character in like their trees, or like it's a goblin that talks like Al Pacino. So it's great. Like I said, if you haven't watched that, it's fantastic.
A giant oak tree with a face on it that looks a lot like Nicolas Cage. He says, "Travel with caution. These woods are home to the bones of many a fallen hero."
I think the other thing, besides just individual shows, is just in our lifetime, which we're in our mid-20s, it's not we've been here that long, but it seems like from our kids and childhood to now, the concept of being a nerd does not have such a negative connotation like it did when we were kids.
Yeah, not even close.
Both of us played sports, and we're considered on the athlete jock side, but still gamed as kids and everything. So we literally both played instruments, so we've like all part of the loops of society.
All sides.
Yeah, when we were kids, like if you saw somebody that was just a nerd, they're the ones that got picked on or whatever. It was calling somebody a nerd was such a huge like blow to their personalities. Like, you're a terrible person because you're a nerd or whatever. Nowadays, you call somebody a nerd, it's almost a compliment. Like, it's completely changed. The negative connotation of nerd is just gone. I think that's another reason why you've seen stuff like this grow in culture in general, is because it's become a more positive thing.
Exactly. And I think one huge help to that has been Disney with all these Marvel comic movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's been a huge
comic book nerds is a legit term from years ago.
When you're turning like these comics, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's stupid. It's just books and everything, and that's whatever." But things like all these Avengers and all the Marvel movies show people like, "Wow, these are actually really interesting characters and stories." And same with Lord of the Rings. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's just like a fantasy nerd," and then they see the movie and they're like, "Wow,
this is crazy.
This story is great." But they never looked at it before because they thought it was just something nerdy. Like when you expose like these things to people and show like, yeah, this is a fantasy world, or yeah, this is a comic superhero world, but the stories are good, and people see that, and it's become just 180 with culture, where people are like, okay, we were wrong about this.
My bad. That's my bad.
I think the biggest thing now with, like we said, with the reversal of pop culture and everything with, nerd type things, comics and games and fantasy and all that stuff. One of the biggest things in the last few years that's caused a major resurgence has to be Critical Role.
There's no argument.
You cannot say anything about D&D without, some commentary or something about Critical Role. Just because it's had such a huge following that, that's one of the main reasons
they freaking sell out live shows to watch people play Dungeons & Dragons. That's how good they are at it to start with. Yeah. And we talked about on one of our other videos recently about the quality of voice acting. These are all professional voice actors that play D&D. If you haven't seen it, if you're a D&D player, haven't seen Critical Role, at least heard about it, I'd be shocked. Because that's really what got us into giving it a shot. He found this, showed it to me, is like, okay, they make this look fantastic. This has got to be at least semi-fun if they can make it look this fun. It's multiple of the characters voice, World of Warcraft characters, all kinds of anime and Dragon Ball Z and all kinds of shows like that. It's
if you played video games or watched any kind of animated show, something like that,
you have heard all of their voices
probably
before.
Heard them all at some point or another.
Correct.
They're all very, very good at their jobs, and they've been in a lot of different shows and games and things. So you've definitely heard them. Now, when you see their faces, you probably won't recognize anything.
Correct.
But when they're talking certain ways, you might be like, that sounds a little familiar.
Yeah,
you're probably right, because you've probably heard them before.
Yeah. And of course, you got to give credit to all the ones that are on there. But Matt Mercer, the DM for the show, does so many things. And his ability to create so many unique NPCs in a game of Dungeons & Dragons is just absurd. Jameson is new to the DM thing compared to most people out there. Does a pretty good job with it. And I tried my best to tell him this. Guys, appreciate your DMs. They work hard. I did one shot to kind of get an idea of what he does on a regular basis. Like, holy snot, I lost more of my hair than it's already losing. What he's able to remember from they see an NPC once. 30 episodes later, they run into the same NPC. And he character develops the NPC. And of course, the number one example I always go to, and he knows, Victor the Black Powder Merchant. Good Lord. Like the fact, I don't want to spoil anything because you need to watch all Critical Role. The episodes are long. They've started putting them in podcasts, so they're shorter, audio only. If you can't commit the time to watch it like I can with my funky work schedule, so I have to put it on podcast and I listen to it because it's worth, I listen to an audio book basically. And the fact that he'll take the time to develop Victor the Black Powder Merchant, and besides just this quirky one-off guy, he makes 4 appearances because the players love that NPC so much, and the audience loves that NPC so much. Matt knows he's got to come back at some point.
No one asked about the black powder, but I knew it had a purpose. Yes. You wish to buy it? How much do you want?
Critical Role, it's got a huge impact. It impacted our game. That's one of the main reasons we started playing, I think, was by watching that. Yeah. Now, I will preface, if you've never played, don't try to expect your game to go like theirs, because they've played D&D for, they started the Critical Role show. I think their campaign had been going for 3 or 4 years before that.
Yeah.
So they've been playing for a few years, and Matt has played since he was like a kid.
In high school, yeah.
So
he's been DMing since high school.
Decades at this point. And they're all professional voice actors as well, so they know how to get into character and stay in character. Yeah. But it gives you a really good idea of like what the pinnacle is like. Like if you, it gives you something to
shoot for. There's your goal.
Yeah.
Good luck getting there, but that's your goal.
The main thing is it's all about having fun, right?
Right.
So they're fun. They like to RP a lot.
They do.
Maybe you don't like to RP as much. Sure. That's fine. It's a game. You don't have to play like anyone else. You play it the way you want to play it.
No 2 game is going to be the same. Everybody's individual what they want to do with their stuff, which is fine.
Exactly.
All right, folks. That's just some of our ideas, some of our thoughts of why D&D has impacted the culture, and why it's the culture has kind of impacted D&D, and how everything's kind of turned around. It's become more of an intertwined part, everyday thing through TV, through live stream shows, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right, guys. So if you like the video, please subscribe to our channel, give it a like, and we'll keep these coming. Thank you, guys.
We can shoot this one from the hip.
All right.
Pew 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 pew.
Pepe le pew pew. All right.